So we had a full-on emergency on vacation in the middle of Tanzania in the Serengeti on a 2-week trip with somebody I barely even knew. Yes, it happened. If you saw my video a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video about how I manifested a travel partner, how I manifested a love, all in the same person, and how we traveled to Tanzania together on a vacation. Literally, it was our 4th time ever seeing each other, and we decided to go all the way to Africa. So I left a big key piece of information right on out of that story. We had a whole medical emergency in the middle of nowhere. If you did not catch that video, y'all, please go back and check it. Here's the link to it right here. So, as a reminder, I went on vacation literally across the world with somebody I barely even knew. We had only seen each other 3 times. And then, yes, we decided, you know what? Let's go on a 2-week vacation all the way to Africa. Yes, let's just do it because why? Why not? So we decided to do a safari and then go to Zanzibar in Tanzania, right? So a week in a safari and then a week doing beach and relaxation type activities for 2 weeks. Overall, the vacation was wonderful. It was a great vacation. I do believe like the best way to get to know somebody, y'all, is a road trip or live with them. But I mean, you're not going to move in with somebody right away, right? You're going to go date somebody. You're going to get to know them through interactions. And the only way to really get to know somebody is through situations. Like there is no other way when you are dating somebody. Anybody can show you their best face. Anybody can. Okay. Until you go through some stuff with them, that's when you learn their true character. And so I'm an advocate for taking a road trip, going on vacation. I'm not saying take a 2-week vacation like I did. Okay. All I'm saying is maybe plan a road trip, go somewhere to get to know this person and this person thoroughly. Okay. Because you never know what you're going to uncover. I'm going to say a big, big, huge disclaimer. Always trust your intuition. Please do not take a trip with somebody that gives you the EB jibbies. Okay. Just don't do it. Run a background check if you need to. Make sure you share your location with everybody you know, like your friends and not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. Your friends and family. Be cognizant of, hey, I'm taking a trip. So just don't just jump and go with anybody. Please let someone know where you're at. Okay. Enough of being your mom. Back to the story. So, if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I am Be Mindful. I'm a relationship coach and a published author. And here I talk about catching flights and catching feelings. But in order to do so, we all have to heal ourselves and our internal wounds so that we can go out here and attract the love and the travel partner we also desire. Because every time I work with a client, they always say, oh, I want somebody to travel with. So, why can't we catch flights and feelings? I know they put that cliche term catch flights, not feelings. Why can't we have both? So on this channel, I'm talking about how can we have both so that we can have what we all want, a healthy relationship, and we want to travel the world. I mean, for the most part, we want to travel the world. I know I do, and I do travel the world. So I'm here to help you do the same. Okay, back to my story. So our medical emergency occurred very early in the trip, like literally as soon as we got to Africa on day 2. It all started in the Serengeti and the surrounding areas of the Serengeti. So the Serengeti is a very large national park in Tanzania. If you've never been on a safari, let me just paint the picture. You go on a safari and we went to multiple camps. We didn't just go to one camp, stay the night, and then go safari on a drive. And let me just preface this with a lot of these pictures I took directly with my phone. That does play a part in this story. Let me carry on. Day 2. Okay, we stayed at one camp and now we were going to the next camp. But in the next camp, right? So while you're doing a safari drive, you're going further and further and further away from town. So it took us a couple of hours to get to this next camp. But while you're doing that, you are on a game drive. So you are looking and seeing and trying to find all the animals, right? The big 5 in the park, right? You got the lion, the black rhino, the elephant. Mm, Those are the 2. On day 2, I started experiencing frequent urination. Let me say this is not the emergency, but it definitely plays a part. Literally every couple of minutes, I had to pee. Now, on a game drive, there are no bathrooms. You are in a national park with lions and rhinos and giraffes. That's one of the 5. You're in a park driving around to view these. We even saw a cheetah killing an animal that it was preying upon, right? So we're out in this environment. So, of course, there are no toilets. There are no bathrooms. There's like one or two bathrooms in the whole area that we saw. But guess where I had to use the bathroom? The same place the animals were using the bathroom. The driver was driving around and he had to find a spot for me to use the bathroom. And of course, he had to scout the spot first to make sure there were no lions in the area. He parked his truck, he got out of the truck, and he guarded the front of the truck. My 2 week date and we went out the back of the truck. He guarded the back of the truck to make sure no animals were coming. And I did my business. Let me just also say that the ground was very dry, and I don't know if you ever had to urinate on very dry ground. The water comes right back up and landed all over my pants several times. And this was probably one of the most embarrassing things for me because, again, I didn't know this man. I didn't know this man. And here he is watching me with pee on my pants repeatedly. This went on a few times. Literally every few minutes, I did not know what was going on because I had never personally experienced anything like this. When we got back in the truck one time, because I know my driver thought we were crazy because I know he was like, "What is wrong with her?" We got back in the truck. My 2 week date whispered in my ear, and he said, "Do you think you have a urinary tract infection?" And I said, "Huh? How would I have gotten that out here?" Then the pain kicked in. This again is not the medical emergency, but it leads to it. I just want to let you know. Once the pain kicked in, I became very worried because one, I knew that we were in the middle of nowhere. Two, we had no phone service. Three, we had no Wi-Fi. It was just me, him being my 2 week date, and the driver. When we got to the next camp for my 2 week date says maybe they have some kind of doctor they can call in. I'm like, so we get to the camp and we do ask them, "Hey, do you guys have a doctor, please, that you can call because I'm not feeling well?" They say, "Yes, we actually do." So they said they're going to call the doctor in and it was going to take a little while, but he would eventually get there. We say, "Fine." He, my date, and we start scouring through our bags to see if we have any kind of medication, anything, vitamin C, any kind of medicine that will help ease the symptoms. Me being very anxious and me feeling a certain type of way about the pain. I'm not even going to lie. Internally, I had every warning light going off. I was very worried. I'm not even going to lie about that. I was very scared. And I think my 2 week date got a hold, like he could
Ouch!
tell that I was feeling very anxious. We decided to go ahead, let's just go to dinner. And we went and got dinner. And that is when my 2 week date tried to calm me down. And he gave me a special gummy. I, of course, took that gummy like a fool. Yes, I did. I didn't know the dosage. I didn't know anything. All I knew is that I was feeling extremely anxious and I just wanted to calm down. Eventually, the doctor came. He prescribed antibiotic. I took the antibiotic as well. So here I was on an antibiotic as well as a special gummy. We finished dinner. We decided to go to the room. He took a shower. I took a shower. And then, bam. Oh my gosh, something hit me like a brick wall, literally a brick wall. And just so you know, I am allergic to alcohol. My body is super duper sensitive. So, needless to say, all of the warning lights began to go off inside of my body. When I got out of the shower, he was already in the bed. I kind of shook him and I said, something's going on. I don't feel well. And then he was like, "No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just the gummy kicking in." So I try to lay down. I'm trying to get rested just like he is. Then all of a sudden, I do have an Apple Watch. I put my Apple Watch back on just to check my heart rate because I feel like my chest is beating really, really hard. I'm looking and looking, and it was at 125. I said, "Okay, all I'm doing is laying here. It's at 125." I see it get to 130, 135. I shook him and I said, "My heart rate is really going up." I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm not feeling well at all." And then he says to me, "That beating noise," he said, "No, that's just some kids running down the hallway." I, first of all, we're in the middle of Serengeti. There is no hallway and there are no kids. So I'm like, oh, he's reacting to the special gummy too. I shook him even harder. I said, "No, it's not kids running down the hallway. It's my heart rate." And at the time, I did not realize that his heart rate was really elevated as well. He wakes up in a panic. I'm literally watching my heart rate go all the way up to the 170s. I'm now freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this cannot be how I go. In the middle of Serengeti with somebody I don't even know, who doesn't even know my parents' phone number, who doesn't know anything, my kid's phone number, nothing. He doesn't even know my kids' names really. And here I am in the middle with no phone service, no Wi Fi, just me and him. I said, we got to get a hold of that doctor again. Without having any of these phones and Wi Fi and all that, we do have a walkie talkie. So he walkie talkies the front desk to say, we need that doctor to come back. She's having a medical emergency over here in the middle of nowhere. Oh my gosh. We're sitting there waiting for the doctor, and my 2-week date is just standing there taking my pulse, trying to calm me down and say, just do some breathing exercises. We're starting to do breathing exercises as if I'm literally in labor. Now, mind you, I'm almost 50 years old. Ain't no babies coming out of here. But that is exactly where my mind went because I was over and over again, just trying to get my heart rate to calm down. Again, I'm almost 50 and heart rate all the way in the 170s when you're just sitting down, trust me, it's not a good sign. So the doctor eventually got there, and we used every word possible that we could know to describe every word possible. He had no idea what we were talking about. He did take my blood pressure and he checked my pulse, and he told us something that we already knew is that my pulse was very high. And oh, I see. That literally was the medical care that I got. He didn't know what to do. There was nothing he could do. I was sitting there damn near butt naked too. Let me just add that I was getting into bed to go to sleep. Then it happened. My body with this special gummy had viewed it as a toxin. And so therefore I began to violently throw up with a heart rate in the 170s and now I'm vomiting. And now the doctor and my 2-week date are staring at me pretty much half naked, not knowing what to do. The doctor stood there for several minutes before he just left the room. And then it became me and my 2-week date to figure this out on our own. To say that I was scared is definitely an understatement. I was very nervous. I was very nervous because, again, it took us over a couple of hours to get there. We had no Wi Fi, we had no phone service, we had nothing but each other. So we just sat up in the bed, me and my 2-week date, after he cleaned the vomit off and we just moved it out the way. Yes, we did. Okay. Yes, we did. We sat up in the bed and he started rubbing my shoulders and rubbing my arm, and we did breathing exercises together for hours, for hours. Anything to get my heart rate to come back down. And that's what we did. And eventually,
Let me say, eventually it did go back down. It did, but it took several hours.
me panicking, and you know what? Panicking probably also led to my heart rate going up, but there's no way that I panicked my heart rate all the way into the 170s. Absolutely not. Once both of our heart rates calmed down, we eventually fell asleep and we woke up in the morning and we looked at each other again. Pretty much two strangers had who had experienced a medical emergency last night on our own. We looked at each other in the morning and we busted out laughing. And we laughed so hard. It wasn't funny at the time. It absolutely was not. I literally thought that was it. I thought, oh my gosh, what are my kids going to think of me? I have told them for years to stay away from them special medicines. And then here I was because I was overly anxious about having this pain and then not having any medication and all this stuff in the Serengeti and being in the middle of nowhere with no phone, no Wi-Fi, nothing, that I would succumb to taking a specialized gummy that made it so much worse. So much worse. Either way, so what did we learn from this ordeal? The best way to learn about somebody is through situations. And that was definitely a situation. And we 100% learned about each other for sure. In our case, we only had each other. And so, therefore, I learned how he responds to stress and he learned how I respond to stress. It was definitely a learning lesson. I learned that he could stay calm under pressure for sure. He was stroking my back, stroking my arm, asking to just pretty much asking me to breathe, just breathe. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out repeatedly. And he did this with me for hours, literally for hours. And he learned that I too can handle stress because I not once yelled, I didn't fuss. I may have shed a tear or two internally, and I was freaking out internally. I'm not even gonna lie, but I never raised my voice. I didn't get disrespectful. I didn't blame him. Again, he gave me something he had no idea that my body would react that way to it. And I don't know if it was a combination of the antibiotic and that thing, but now I have since learned, since a couple of more incidents with the toxic chemical in my body, that I am allergic to it. Just like I'm allergic to alcohol. I think I am the life of the party because I can't do either of them. We also learned that the dosage that was given to me was actually 25 milligrams, and that is why I had such a negative reaction. But I've had lower doses, and I could tell that I've equally had really bad. I'm going to share those stories on another video because I've had worse dates than this. We also learned that we can laugh about stuff and move on. Okay. It wasn't the end of the world. Thank God. Thank God, literally, we could laugh about it. And we went on to enjoy the rest of our vacation. We really, truly, truly did. Okay. So, some travel tips I want to share because these are not your typical travel tips. These are travel tips from this trip in particular that I wanted to share that I have implemented after, through each vacation since then, because we have been on 42 vacations in the last couple of years. And so, therefore, I can sit here and tell you each trip I've learned something new. Now, from this trip, please, 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 please pack your vitamin C and your cranberry. Yes, yes, yes. Thing is, you're drinking a lot less liquids because you don't have access to your bathroom and amongst everything. I mean, I'm linking in the description below the one I use and I pack on every trip, and it has definitely saved me many, many times. Always take broad spectrum antibiotics with you. We had a case on another trip that he had to take antibiotics from some waterborne illnesses. Had we not had the antibiotic, and again, we have taken adventurous type vacations where medical care isn't going to be necessarily available right then and there. And we're not talking we went to New York City where there's a bunch of doctors and hospitals all around. We're talking we went into places that those things weren't just readily available. So you got to have this backup kit. When you go to countries like Asia or even the continent of Africa, there are many places that will just sell antibiotics over the counter. Buy a box. Just buy a box or get a box or get a bottle of antibiotics before you take one of these adventurous trips where you don't have access to medical care, immediate access to medical care, because an antibiotic just might save your life. So just take a broad spectrum. What I got from the doctor in on the Serengeti trip and the boxes of pills that I've been able to buy on other vacations was Cipro. That was antibiotic. Get travel insurance. We did have travel insurance for this vacation. We absolutely did. However, the fact that we were in the middle of nowhere, how in the world is this travel insurance going to work? Am I going to get medical care in enough time? That was a concern of mine, a big concern of mine, because I knew that we were so far away from any type of civilization. So therefore, I mean, I would still absolutely every trip that we've gone on, we have gotten travel insurance because in case you have to be medically evac out of somewhere, you can do so with travel insurance. So we did have that, but at that time, I just did not know how that would have worked. If you have experienced that, by all means, please leave a comment in the comment section. Share the knowledge. Let us know if you've ever used your medical insurance on a vacation, your travel insurance. Please share in the comments. Let us know how that worked out for you because I have gotten it for every trip. Okay. Thank God I haven't used it. My fourth tip is y'all keep an open mind. Stuff happens when you're traveling, okay? Especially if you're traveling with a partner. Don't direct all the negative energy. It's their fault. It's their fault. No, don't direct all the negative energy to your partner. It's the two of you trying to get through this trip. If anything, look at your partner as okay. We're gonna have to get through this together. Then when you get back home, if y'all decide not to speak again, that's fine. But get through the trip, your partner needs to be that person that you can rely on. That person's going to be there for you. And but understand that sometimes stuff happens on a trip that you can't control. And it might end up just being a great story that you can laugh about. But still, y'all, let's not blame anyone for anything that happens. I mean, unless it's completely their fault. But what good is it going to do you if you're just going to sit there and blame, blame, blame? Get through the trip and then get back home. And if it was terrible, then never see that person again. That's okay. But goal is get through the trip. My tip number 5, y'all choose a partner that knows how to work well under pressure. Period. And here's the thing. You won't know until you're in situations. You really won't know how somebody reacts to stressful situations until you're in one. Yep. And what better way to learn how people respond to situations than take a trip? But again, refer to my disclaimer because you can't travel with everybody. I have some girlfriends that I would never take a trip with. Oh, yes. I have some family members that I would never take a trip with, right? Just because, you can't vibe with everybody. So please be aware of these energies before you say, you know what, I'm going to jet set across the world for 2 weeks with somebody I barely even know, like somebody like I know, like me. And just know that every opportunity is a learning lesson. It really is. Take that and say, you know what? I'm learning about so and so. And so this is an opportunity for me to continue to learn about them. I learn how he or she reacts to sad situations, happy, whatever, anxious, anything. But you are constantly learning about that person. So take everything as a learned lesson. So thank you, y'all, for tuning in. And hopefully, my embarrassing date has made your most embarrassing date a little bit less embarrassing. So if you want to learn how I manifested a love and these trips, because I am talking all about catching feelings and flights or catching flights and feelings, because it's something that we all want to do. It's 2024, y'all. Let's travel the world. Let's go see the world. And why not see it with somebody you actually enjoy seeing it? Because just like the happiness doctor says, and I can't think of his name, but he says best moments in time are when you are sharing them with somebody. So let's share this life that God has given us or the universe has given us and get out here and attract the love, attract the partner, and attract these trips. Y'all take care of yourself. Till next time.